Hello and welcome to my VV Gamma graphics tutorial. So in today's tutorial, I'm going to share how to create a spline-oriented camera transformation. Basically, we're going to be designing a sort of like a Bezier curve using Skia, and then use that value, feed that value into Stride camera position to get, to animate a camera based on a curve that's designed in Skia. Yep, so let's get started. So first of all, we start vvvv from scratch. First thing we have to do is we need to add Skia, because this is what we're going to be using today. So vl Skia, let's open it up, and then we should see a Skia in our window. So let's get our render first. So here is my renderer, and then I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. And what we'll be doing today is we're going to be using a node called add poly, and this one is in advanced or low level nodes. So yeah, if you type it, as you can see, there is a dot here. That means it's included inside. So if you open this one up, then you can see add poly right here. And then to draw this guy, we need a node called draw path, because the out of this guy is an escape path. So we'll be connecting this to add poly, and then this guy to the renderer. At the moment, we're not seeing anything because nothing is connected to the add poly. What I'll be using today is a node called linear spread. I think everyone's familiar with this, and we need to convert this to a vector 2D. So I'm gonna create, wait a second, let me show you the mouse in. Okay, yeah. So what I'll be doing next is I need to feed, let's say, 10 linear spreads with width of 2, and I want to feed this guy into here. And as you might already know, we can't connect this directly. We need to create a surround for each, and then here we'll get this as a splicer, and then connect this guy to the X. And then we'll get this output to the add poly. Add poly has an input pin that says point sequence vector 2, which means you can connect spreads directly to add poly. And at the moment, we're still not seeing anything. And this is probably because two things. One, we need to make sure that we've got a Y out with 10. And then another thing I have to do is I need to add a node called stroke, because I think at the moment this guy is set to nothing, or maybe a paint. And then color, yeah, now we've got stroke, it's enabled. Add poly is closed down. So this guy was on, close was on for default, and this means it will close from here to here, and for some reason it just doesn't show. Maybe if I move something, yep. So this is what close means. If I turn it off, for today I don't need it, so I'm gonna turn it off to close. And then what I'll be doing next is, first of all, I want to preview the position of the point. So there is a node called points, and I don't need the low levels anymore. So uncheck this and then click this one. And then I'll add a group, because I need to render the point and the path. So connect this guy here and here, and then connect the point. And then I'll get these vector 2 out to the point to make sure that I can see like where the points are right now here. So next thing I want to do is, so if I change this, so this guy is the Y value. So if I change this guy to the up and down, if I scroll right click here, and then if I drag it, then as you can see, the position is changing, but this guy is not horizontal, and I want to change it horizontal because that will be more easy to see. What I will do is I'll right click configuration, and then here there is a button saying horizontal, so I'm gonna right click this guy. Now this is horizontal, so if I widen it up, then I should be able to see the values. So there's a scroll bar here that you can see the entire 10, but this is a bit annoying. I want to see all 10 values in the same time, and to do so, I'll change the maximum visible entries to 10, and then widen this one up. 8, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, now I have 10. So if I scroll this guy up, then moves down. If I scroll this guy down, then it moves up, and this is because the Skia coordinate is the opposite. So what I would do is I'll just add a multiply, and then I'll multiply the y-axis with -1. Okay, so now if I change the value here, if I go scroll down, then it goes down. If I scroll up, then it goes up, and it's going to be the same with the entire position. So this is a bit more handy than having it an opposite coordinate. Yeah, so this is basically how to create lines in Skia. And there's another thing I want to do is, right now, as you can see, this is very linear, so it's straight. And I want to make this a bit more curvish because I want the camera to move smoothly. To do so, there is a node called Resample B-Spline, and there's a few different options for resampling, but for today I'll be using a Resample B-Spline. And then I'll connect this guy to I'll connect this guy to the out of this vector 2. So connect this here, and then I'll resample this, let's say 10 times. No, 100 times. So what it does is, well, I'll just connect it and you'll see what it does. So now we've got a very smooth curve, as you can see. And what it's basically doing is it's resampling this linear spread out to 100 points. So it looks a bit, so it looks smooth, but in the same time, if you zoom in, it's a collection of straight lines. And we can also preview that if we connect these points to connect this position to the points. As you can see, this is what it's doing. So it's resampling these values, these positions, like this, to make it more how to say, curvish. I don't know the right word, but yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. So for this, I want actually to see the linear lines and the curved line in the same time, because in my mind it doesn't really match. Why does this go this? If I scroll this guy down, I'd rather have it connected linearly and then make sure that I can see what's happening. So what I'll do is I'll copy these 4, paste it here, connect this out to the add poly, and then I'll Control+, add another group input. I'll reconnect these 3, and then I'll also change the color for the stroke to a red so that I can see what exactly is happening. So now it's a bit more obvious. Let me change the stroke width here. Yep. So now it's a bit more obvious. And if you're interested in understanding what B-Spline does, check out some video below that explains what it's doing. Yeah, so now I've got a very nice curve. And next up, I want to have an object, how to say, following this. So I'll add a rectangle. I'll add a rectangle. Yep, I'll add a rectangle here. And then I'll add another group. So Control+, and then another layer here. And then I'll connect this rectangle. I'm gonna, and then I'll need a node called SRT Skia transform. So I'll connect this guy below this rectangle, and I mean, I can connect. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to let this guy follow the line, like I want it to animate, but I also want this box to face its direction, and to do that, rectangle doesn't have a rotation node, so that's the reason why I'm connecting this transform SRT rather than just using the rectangle. And then I'll add a node called sample path. Yeah, and this one is also a low-level node. So here, you should see it. And position, tangent. Yeah, this should be fine. And then I'm going to be connecting this guy to the add poly because it has a path input. I'll just move this guy a little bit higher. This guy right here. Force close, no. Rest scale, no. Position, yeah, we need the position later on. And then this guy has a position out, so I'm going to be connecting this guy to the transformation. And right now the box is a little bit too big, so I'm going to scale this guy down. Okay, this is good. And what this sample path does is it samples a path. It just samples a path. So if you add values here, as you can see, now it's moving around. So it samples a certain position of the path and just follows it. So if you want the camera to animate on top of the spline, the path, then this is the node to use. I'll be connecting a LFO here because right now I don't really have a, yeah, and then I'll add 10-second LFO. So LFO keeps adding values and then it keeps adding the position. And yeah. Next up, so now the box is not facing the direction yet, so I would add a node called angle 2D, and then it should be sample path. Yeah, let's get the tangent out to the angle and then connect this guy to rotation. So now, as you can see, the box is following the path angle. Let me connect the camera node here to make sure that we can zoom in and check it in detail. Yep, camera. And then now if we connect the camera node, we can zoom in and pan this Skia 2D layer. So as you can see now, it's following the path. It looks like it's going pretty smooth. I can see when it's rotating, it's actually going a bit jaggy, but for now this is okay. I don't really care. If you want it to be more smooth, then maybe you can add the resample count to like 500 so that it has less that artifact. But yeah, for now, just keep it to 100 because it's not a big problem for me. Okay, so this is pretty much it for the Skia part. Next up, what I want to do is I want to apply this animation to Stride. So I'll open up Stride. Stride is at the moment not activated. So let's open up this present box and then Stride, scene window, this one. And I'll get another renderer. So this one is a Stride renderer. And this one, oh, yeah, this one is a Stride renderer and the one above is the Skia renderer. And then here I'll add a node called camera, and this guy is the one that I want this transformation to come. Right now there's nothing in the Stride scene, so I'm going to be adding some boxes to make sure, boxes and light. So Sky box light will be added here, and then we also need a root scene. Oh, not this one, root scene. Stride, and then I'll connect this guy to the scene window, and then skybox light to the box. So I'll also add a directional light. Yep, and then I'll group these guys for the right light group. Stride grouping. Yep. So now this is one. This group is the light group. And then I'll add box. Yeah, and I also want to spread. I want a spread of box just to make sure. If you press F4, you should be able to see what's happening right here. Oh, and the camera is not connected, so I'll connect the camera to the root scene so that I can make sure that I see the camera. And yeah, I'll just, before getting the box, I'll just make sure that camera does work. I mean, yeah, I'll just make sure the camera works in the Stride scene. So I'll add a SRT, transform SRT, and I'll add a 3D transform because I want to connect this guy to the Stride camera. And then I'll get the position from the sample path. And this one is vector 2. And here in Stride, we need to get it as a vector 3. So add a node called vector split 2D, this guy. And then vector 3D join. So this one. And the reason why I used a vector, so there's a node called XYZ, and with this one you can actually automatically apply vector 2 to vector 3. However, what I'm going to do is I basically don't need an x-axis. The x-axis is this way, and I just want the camera to move this way as from the side, like this. And so I only need the y-axis and the z-axis. But if I connect this directly to the y and x and this to the transform, as you can see, the camera is not going to the z-axis, but rather than that, it's moving minus y-axis. And this is because sample path, this one is basically x is the z and y is the up and down. So x needs to be here and y needs to be here. By doing this, as you can see now, the camera is moving along the path. However, it's not rotating yet. So I will need another vector 3D join, and then I'll connect this guy to rotation. And then I'll get this angle to the X rotation. Yep, so now, as you can see, it's working. I mean, the rotation is correct. But, yeah, it's a bit odd. Let me see why this keeps happening. Yeah, okay, one reason could be that, let's make it a little bit bigger. So the line at the moment is very small, but I'll make it bigger. Yeah, now it's a bit more smooth. And I think I know the reason why. So if I disconnect this guy, and let's preview it without the animation. So I just go like this. So yeah, so as you can see, the center of the camera is not here, but instead of that it's here, right here. So it animates like this. I mean, it should be fine for now, but that was the reason why it made me look like it wasn't fitting, but I think it's okay. Yeah, for my own my own usage, this is not a big problem, so I'll just keep it like that. Yeah. And then I'll make it a little bit higher. Okay, so if I press F4 again, as you can see now, it's moving. The frame rate is somehow very low. But the frame rate on the Stride is not having a problem. Maybe it's just too slow. Yeah, it was just too slow. Okay. So if I make it faster, or I can multiply this to 100 and then make it 10 second again. Yeah, that was happening because there weren't enough resample point. So I just changed the resample point to 500 and made it a bit more smooth. Okay, so this is basically it. For the rest of the time, I'll keep adding boxes. I mean, if you followed my tutorial in my last tutorial, I've already explained how to instance the box. So I'll just instance a box and make an interesting scene to make it look a little bit better. Okay, so let's start working. Okay, so this is the result I got for today. It looks pretty cool. Yeah, I scaled this guy up to 20 because the moving, it wasn't very dynamic if I kept it to 2, so I scaled it up quite a lot, and then I zoomed out with the camera. I changed a little bit of scale of these lines because I wanted to see it from the distance. Yep, so that's what I basically did for the Skia part. What I did for the Stride part is basically here, this part. Let me move a little bit to the right so that you can see. I basically used instant spread components to spread the box with grid spread 3D. And then I used a node called count to get the same amount to random spread a little bit of grid spread because it was too aligned. I wanted to add a bit of random position, so it looks like this. And then I also added another random spread for scale. So I divided by 3 to make sure that count, and then I put everything for XYZ because I wanted the scale to be square. So that's what I did here. I added material, post effects, depth of field for the camera thing, ambient occlusion to make it look a little bit rich, and also a fog with the same color with the material. And another thing I did is I added a point light to make it look like the camera is moving together with the light. I don't know why, but the position of the light was a little bit not in the correct position, but it wasn't a big thing for me, so I kept it like that. I think I can solve it, but I'll just leave it like this. Yeah, that was it for today, and this is how it looks like. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I like this result. Yeah, so what I wanted to do here was actually I wished I could control the entire points on the renderer and just left click and move this guy up, and also if there was a Bezier knot that I could control the curve of this guy, that had been perfect. I tried a little bit before recording this tutorial, but I couldn't figure out how to do that. I know there is a Bezier knot node and things like that we can actually create it, but I couldn't figure out how to make that kind of things work. So if anyone's interested in creating that kind of like Bezier knot controlling system, I would be very happy if someone could help me or advise me on how to do that kind of stuff. I mean, if you don't mind, I can also record that and share it to everyone. And another thing, there is a really nice pack nugget called VL2D curve fitting, and please check it out if you have time. This is also really cool. It just creates a very smooth curve based on your mouse input or whatever input that you get. So this is a really nice pack made by Musinki. Cool one. And also I found this very nice tutorial or a video explaining what Bezier curve is actually doing. So if you're interested in understanding what Bezier curve is, as I said at the beginning, I'll put the link for this video below as the description so that you can learn what this Bezier resampling B-Spline or whatever Bezier spline or spline thing is doing. So yeah, that was it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll be happy if you could subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.